All right, hopefully y'all can hear me now. Let me know. Audio good? I don't know. You guys know I don't do lives often. No sound earlier? Okay, I thought you would say either. Y'all can hear me? Man, what a crazy, crazy, unbelievable. I couldn't even focus on, okay, audio's good, cool. I couldn't even focus on the breakdown of the Blazers game. The funny thing is, y'all can attest, those of you that watched the breakdown this morning, I was like, yo, it's super clear GP2 is not as good for Portland. And that's not a diss. It was just like they don't move, right? The system, he was this system fit that made him more valuable to us than other teams, a la what Draymond may find out this summer. But yeah, man. Hey, what up, y'all? What up? So I'm doing this through StreamYard. I'm going to try to start to do these. My daughter's season, they're in the playoffs. They play in the playoffs tonight. I'm just going to ramble here for a little bit while this fills up. My youngest, 16, transferred schools. She had 11 points in the fourth quarter in her first playoff game. 11 points in a girls' high school game is like a 20-point quarter for an NBA player, right? There's only like 50 points in the game. She plays again tonight now on the road, so it's going to be tough. But yeah, man. So what? No OG? Is there more stuff coming in? Is there more stuff coming in? Because I was trying to wait. I'll be honest. And listen, GP2 has his own durability issues. That would be my hang up with OG is he's never stayed healthy. And he's that bigger body with the muscles. So, I don't know, man. What up, Edward? Seeing a lot of y'all pop in here. No, I'm excited. But it works me up. It exhausts me to go to her game and then cover a Warrior game. I'm just a mess, man. But I guess let's start with what up? Let's start with Dallas and Kyrie, because that's really what popped it all off. I don't even remember if I've given my take on it, honestly. One thing that was funny is you hear that Joe Tsai was not going to let Kyrie go to the Lakers or Los Angeles, right? And okay, whatever. I don't know about that. But the one thing that struck me as weird was listening to Kyrie's press conference. And I know he tried to mean it complimentary, but he was like, yo, Luka's just a badass European. He's a badass Euro. I'm going to get to see him up close and personal. And it dawned on me, like with his wokety woke stuff, and it may not have been a mistake that Tsai paired him with Luka, right? I don't know. Culturally, Kyrie's always pointing out racial things. It may not go good. May not go good. So I think Dallas, is crazy for that. What else? Let's go. Yeah, hit the likes. I'll try to get to questions and stuff. I don't know how long I'm going to be on here. I don't do these often, but hopefully I'm getting this through. It looks like StreamYard is easier for me. So this KD thing. So there's so much to cover. I will do an official like trade grade video here. Probably tomorrow. If I'm not faded from this game tonight. Okay. I would have liked this KD move for the Suns a lot better if it was for Ayton, right? Obviously, Brooklyn was like, "Nah, we good." A lot of people consider Ayton a bad contract right now, but listen, Phoenix has shrunken their window. Like I get it. I'm trying to think of an analogy, right? They've certainly opened it. Like all of a sudden, like they may be the potential favorites in the West, but Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, as young as he is, when are they healthy? All three of them have durability issues, right? Mikal Bridges was their one lone premier wing defender, and that's why they went and got Darius Bazley, which y'all know I liked Bazley. I thought that was a slick little move for Dario Saric to try to be that wing stopper. The other issue I have with this new big three in Phoenix is they all want the ball in the same spot, right? They all want it at that elbow spot. And so I think that ultimately you got to get rid of Chris Paul, because you look at Chris Paul and his playing style and how you talk about system fits with GP2, right? Chris Paul is not a like he hasn't played, he hasn't been paired with big threes and fours and stars, right? He's kind of the general, and he can make the Mikal Bridges and the Cam Johnsons better, right? KD and Book don't need CP. In fact, he's just a liability, in my opinion. And so, as exciting and as shocking as that Phoenix move is, their window, I guess Chris Paul's contract isn't guaranteed. Could they move off of him and Van Vliet? I don't know what else, if there's more stuff pouring in, but that Suns move is, I won't say, look, you do it, but for all your draft capital and your two best young players, and I'm not including Devin Booker is a good young player, but he's a franchise player. You're not trading Book, right? But like, you trade your two best young players, all your draft capital for a 34, 35-year-old KD to pair with Chris Paul, who is on his last limb. So I don't know, man. I don't know about that one. I did think it was a possibility that we may get Crowder once he was rerouted, because I didn't think Phoenix would want to send him to us, but Brooklyn, what do they care? But I think we dodged a bullet there with Jay Crowder, because I think that he may be washed. He was showing signs of it last year. That's where the dispute came in with the Suns. They were like, nah, bro, we're not really trying to pay you. And now when you take this big extended period of time off, it's tough. I know it sounds silly, but he hasn't played ball in 6 months. And as you age, it's these gaps that you take off, you come back and you've lost something. You have to keep playing. Like, part of LeBron's longevity is he's never had huge gaps of time off, and really neither has Steph, right? Chris Paul, I'm going to catch up on the comments here a little bit. I'm all over the place. What up? What up? Yeah, man. So what were y'all thinking when because everybody was excited for Saddiq Bey, right? I think we've all had our eyes on this dude. He seems like a Warriors fit. He is a bit of a chucker. Like, Saddiq Bey is kind of a young Jay Crowder, right? Plays a little bigger than he's very physical. He's tough, and he's over ambitious with his shot selection. And they perhaps did, well, we know what they were doing now, right? But there was a possibility Bey is a little bit too much of an ISO chucker for our system. You know what I'm saying? But there was some time there where it just felt like, all right, they're dumping Wiseman simply for the money and to pay Ty Jerome, right? Oh, man. Yeah, I know. We need a big. So listen, as exciting as it is, the GP2 is back. And now essentially on paper here, I mean, we've got 3 point of attack defenders. You've got Dante, GP2, and Kuminga. Now, you saw Kuminga last night with Dame, who Dame is one of one. He's a unique dude. He still has that elite first step, but then the strength of Dame, right? A lot of guys are quick. De'Aaron Fox, Ja, these guys are lightning quick. They don't have the power after that, right? And that's where Dame, he still has the quick step, and then he has power to play through contact. And so you saw Kuminga struggle. To ask him to guard is what I'm saying. To ask Kuminga to guard some of these more bursty guys, it's going to be difficult. It's not something he can't do, but he's still learning his distance management. And now you have different looks. You can throw different looks at him, and you've got 15 fouls to use on these lead guards and all this offense in the West. So, like, it's a very positive move in a vacuum for the Warriors. Everybody's excited, but let's be honest here. The truth is, there's a very strong argument to be made that the Warriors should pack it in and go young. But I guess you can't. Right? But you look at the Western Conference, man. Let's take a look around the West, and I'm sure more stuff is coming in. And let's start with the Lakers. Okay. They've changed their whole roster essentially for a first round pick, is what I'm aware of, right? So the picks for Hachimura, I don't understand. That was the thing with the Russ trade last night, was I don't understand, and maybe someone can correct me in the comments. All Utah got for giving up those 3 was a protected first from the Lakers. That's all they got. I think the Lakers kind of made out like bandits when you look at sounded like Russ was going to get cut, right? The vampire. Can you wait for the shade that's going to come out of Los Angeles in the next 48 hours, that what was going on behind the scenes with Russ? You know what I mean? But it just seems like the Lakers made out. So you got Mo Bamba, right? Who else do we got? Davion Reed from Denver, sneaky pickup, lights out shooter, that fits, right? But Bamba can play 5 out. That's what you want with LeBron wants with the center. Vandy, Beasley, I think we've all are familiar with what they bring to the table. All of that said, doesn't it feel like D'Lo might just fuck this up like real quick? Like why D'Lo? I guess that was part of the contract. That was part of the contracts, the main part of the contract swap. And I understand, is he a free agent? So it's not like this long-term commitment to D'Angelo, but I could just see him quickly turning this thing toxic. So, I guess you can make all these arguments, but look, the Lakers, I think we can all agree they've shuffled it up. They're going to look different, and it's going to reinvigorate them. They're probably going to be better when you look at all these moves, right? So now you move to the Clippers. Clippers did all sorts of shit. They traded Wall back to Houston. Wall might be done. Who's picking up Wall? Who's like the Bloods? So the Clippers trade Luke Kennard. I have to, again, I'll give out official, this is all, I don't have all my stuff in a row here, so I don't know what's going on, but Kennard goes to Memphis, right? Who did they got Eric Gordon, they got Plumlee, and then it sounds like they're going to get Russ for their second unit. So, the stuff that the Clippers did, Bones Highland as well, right? So they got younger, they got bigger, they got athletic. Clippers look like they're going to be better, right? So there's the 3 division opponents, never mind the Western Conference. In our division, the Pacific Division, you got the Kings. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I understand why they wouldn't make moves with the chemistry they got going right now, right? But the Lakers, Suns, and Clippers all have made drastic moves here. And so, Dub Nation would have been in shambles if we didn't pull this GP. Could you imagine if it didn't work out, someone bailed out, and it was just Wiseman for 5 second rounders, and they were like, hey, the team announces we're signing Ty Jerome and Anthony Lamb. It'd have been all bad. It'd have been all bad, man. Yeah, KD and Book, man. I don't know, man. Let me catch up on a little bit of these. Yeah, Ja talking about he ain't worried about the West. The West is an arms race, man. Other moves, Boston picks up Muscala. That's a nice Al Horford, Robert Williams insurance because he's a spread 5. It's frustrating as a Warriors fan. I know y'all feel this way, to see what some of these players went for and then be like, well, couldn't the report was Moody. I guess the last shoe I was waiting to drop was Moody going to get moved for like a PJ Washington or like another big body? So again, you know how this goes. What is it? It's 1:30 here in Arizona. When I get done with this, I'm going to go KD hunting. You know what I mean? Nah, but there's going to be stuff that rolls in here late, probably until like 4 p.m. Pacific time, right? There's other things along the line, things that are going to happen. I don't know if they have their eye on the buyout market. Here's what I'll bring up. With GP2 back, right? What does Andre bring to the table? I guess the argument is it's always been his presence on the bench, right? And his coaching and as a player coach, right? But like now that we have GP2, does on that Andre spot, like he's not even going to play if he's healthy. I don't know. Yeah, Lakers got Bamba too. It's wild, bro. It's wild. John Collins still not getting moved. Talk to me about buyouts. Any chance the Dubs pick up? That's the question, right? That's the question. I thought that, who I really wanted was I wanted to see if we could somehow get Finney Smith from Brooklyn out of that Kyrie deal. That would have been, not that he's a big, but you look at Brooklyn and that roster of depth and who I don't know. Again, I'm at a loss here with the buyout market. Kevin Love is a no-go. No. He's just going to get put in. He's fallen out of the rotation there. He's not even playing. If you look at his shooting splits, he's not even shooting well anymore, right? And that's what you want him for. It's not his defense. Yeah, man. Listen, the Wiseman thing. If y'all want me to go off on Wiseman, I will. Nah, dude, I don't. That's the thing is like people. I heard Serge is washed, but didn't he just get bought out or traded in one of these deals today? Again, we're going to have to catch up. Here's the thing that I want to explain to some of y'all about Wiseman. A lot of you that are patrons and that follow me closely have seen where I started with him and where I ended up as far as my opinions go, right? And so I supported the pick. I liked the swing. But the things that you couldn't measure in an empty gym, we had only seen 2 games, all the feel, the timing, the hands, the motor, everything that you need to see in game, he was missing, right? And so it was like, all right, still had excuses, the meniscus, the ankle, the injuries, the system fit, the opportunity. But at a certain point, a spade is a spade, bro. I'll put it to you like this. I'm a flex a little bit here right now. I'm a flex a little bit. And Penny Hardaway is trash for the way that they trained him. Have you go look at Wiseman training videos? I brought this up. Rich, my guy, you followed this. From the day one when we started watching it, remember the little Hobbit trainer? And I got on here one day and I was like, fam, why is this guy training with a 5'5" dude teaching him guard skills? What are we doing here? You know? But see, now I lost my train of thought with him. But so anyway, at a certain point, I have to tell you, this is what I was going to do. I was going to flex. Listen, I can say this without a doubt. When I come to y'all with Warrior takes, sometimes I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to crack some, but when I'm talking about like in-game stuff, I watch more tape on the Warriors, more film, more editing, more for my breakdowns than anybody outside of the Warriors organization. I can promise you that. And what I'm getting at here is I had to say what I'm seeing with Wiseman. And to some of y'all, it was clear as day as well. It was like, yo, this kid really sucks. And I'll finish that up by saying, why would I want him to suck? You understand, this is my business, right? Like, this is like views. Like, you know how much more clicks I would get if Wiseman popped up this year dominating, looking like a young David Robinson. Wiseman, and I could do 2 videos a week on Wiseman's dominance and the growth and all that. Why would I be rooting for him to be trash? It just is what it is. It is what it is, man. And he's going to get buried behind. He beat out Nerlens Noel for some minutes. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on him, man. I hope that he can have a career here. Not here with the Warriors, but in the league. Because I'm not so sure. Like, I would be, let's be honest. Has he shown anything better than what Damian Jones ever showed? Not to me. If you're being honest, no, he hasn't. He's heading to China, right? Yeah, exactly. Damian Jones, like, come on, man. It is what it is, dude. There was so many things, little things where you're like, fam. And then I think the biggest issue for Wiseman is I'm gonna leave him alone. I'm gonna leave him alone. But okay, the hands, the timing, right? You can talk about all the feel and all that, but when you're that size and you're generally that athletic, if he just had a higher motor, it could have masked a lot of that, right? If he just played like high energy, he could have masked a lot of those issues. But it's just not who he is, right? He's kind of plodding, and here I come. And so best of luck to Wiseman. It was a shitty situation. Hopefully he can, Cade, I'm trying to think how they run things. Yeah, a lot more pick and roll. And Cade is a very good pick and roll guard, and he's big, so he can see over the top. Think that it's not a bad situation for Wise, right? Like, there's certain destinations where he might get buried. They're going to at least give him an opportunity. And the Wiseman fan club, hopefully it works out for y'all. Jello, my guy, I appreciate you. Dubs admitted today Wiseman. I don't even know that acronym. That shit's moving too fast. Hold on, though. Should have drafted Koloko. Yeah, man. I mean, this is, it's like the 2 timeline thing was celebrated because we won the chip. But this is now where you're seeing it come and bite them in the butt. Because honestly, that COVID draft pick year, here was the issue was, I think they'll never admit it, but they thought Steph, Clay, and Dre were going to be washed before they were. And that's why they stepped into the 2 timelines. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't think that, right? How many times have I thought Dre might be, right? I never thought Steph would be, but then you look at Clay's injury. And so I think that a big part of that was like the timelines. It would have been so much easier to go into one or the other had Steph not hit his prime at 33 years old, right? And now Clay looking like Clay, man. Clay looking like Clay, bro. But yeah, we need a big body, man. We need a big body. Let me catch up on these a little bit. Pool happy or mad? Yeah, I don't. So I mean, when you look at GP2, and sometimes I got to sleep on this. I appreciate you, Rich. Hasheem Thabit, another number 2 pick. Kwame Brown, Joe, I see you. Wiseman equals Kwame. You remember when Kwame, some of you, this is going to be before your time. The Warriors had Kwame Brown. I don't know when, I don't know if Steph, it had to have been Steph, it had to have been a young Steph, right? But we had Kwame for like half a year and he was like solid. He was solid for us. He was like putting people on their backs and stuff. And I think he tore a pec and then we had to waive him or something. But yeah, I mean, look, Wiseman's he's going to get a chance. But here's what I'll say. I got to leave it alone because I'm tired of talking about him. I'm happy that for both sides of this. Wiseman may end up being like a Enes Kanter, JaVale McGee type of player. And I know you're saying, well, what the hell? What does that mean? Meaning like, why I say that is like JaVale tier level and Kanter style in you bring him in for offense. The defense is never going to get there, fam. That the more I watch kids develop and I've just watched LeBron's whole career. I remember that Sacramento game like it was yesterday, man. It's aging me. But the more I watch, the more I've realized that a lot of this stuff doesn't get better. And the instinct shit, the feel shit, like he's never going to be a good defender. I'm sorry. But offensively, we don't know. He could be a 20-point guy if you give him enough minutes. So I think he can get there. But one thing I can say for certain is, no, he's never going to be an all-star center. I don't think we have to worry about that happening. All right, moving on. What does the GP2 thing do to the rotation? It's interesting because, Steph, did you see how right after they announced the Wiseman trade and the 5 draft picks and the flip of Bay? So everybody is just huffing and puffing on Twitter. And then they're like, oh, Steph Curry is going to be reevaluated. The timing of that was, these fools are propaganda monsters. What's the PR guy's name? Anyway, Raymond Ritter, PR monster, right? But with Steph out, let's just say another month, right? There's minutes for GP2. It doesn't like they're all going to play. I guess Ty gets bumped out. I guess is the consequence of this, because we've had this debate all season long too. If they're going to keep one of the two ways, people were split. And it's not an easy decision, but now that you add GP2, is Ty out? I know Ty's a real point guard. It's a different thing, but he's still a guard, right? Does that make them lean in and keep Lamb? I would argue again, Andre, you got to go, fam. You got to go. Keep both Lamb and Ty. Bounce Andre, and now you have all of them, right? But GP2 is not even a guard for us. He ain't even a guard for us, right? I appreciate you. Rocket Monkey. I appreciate you, dog. You think we should have traded for OG? You think we should have? Again, I was skeptical of his durability, but then what I realized, I think why I think teams really wanted OG, and I heard Raptors fans talking just greasy about him, like he was the defensive player of the year. Like, what? The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and the fan bases go crazy. Like, people think Moody's going to be an all-star, fam. Like, but his contract was really nice, right? He still is, from what I saw, he has 2 more years after this season at a super reasonable rate. So I think that his value contract, that was part of why people were so after him, because you could fit him in to a contending roster and he wasn't going to eat this huge chunk. I think that had as much to do with it as his archetype. He missed when we got, I hate to bring it up, but 19, right? The 19 debacle, right? He didn't play a lick, right? He hasn't even, has OG been healthy? How many playoff games has OG Anunoby played? Right? And I don't think he's been healthy for many playoffs at all. I think it was the appendicitis that year. Appreciate you, Sam. These are moving kind of fast. Hey, Alk, what are your thoughts on Warriors not getting a center backup at the deadline? Yeah, I think we're all waiting for it. the Plumlee move. Again, I'm going to do draft grades here tomorrow. What did the Clippers end up giving up for Plumlee? You know, and I think that us, the Warriors, were just, it was more difficult when we sit here and we say, oh, Vanderbilt, it was cheap. Look how cheap Bones Highland. Not that we wanted Bones Highland, but we're going to look around at some of these lesser moves and say, oh, Boston got Muscala for this and like just for nothing, or for peanuts, right? But I think that we're strapped if it's the tax situation and it's the roster spot situation where I think these other teams could just be more free-wielding. And listen, I heard some grumblings that the Warriors were thinking about Boogie. I heard the Warriors were thinking about Boogie. The Lakers, I read a report the Lakers were gonna work him out a few weeks ago, and then I never heard anything about it again. But yeah, I've heard some grumblings about Boogie as being that fifth guy, and now maybe with why I always thought part of the hangup of not bringing in a big body, right, was because Wiseman was there, and then they kind of handling him with kitty gloves, and then probably the issue of Joe and Bob knew, hey, if we go get this veteran center, Wiseman will never see the light of day for Steve. And so I think that there was a little bit of that going on, right? And then maybe a little pushback from Steve, like, hey, he ain't gonna see the light of day anyway, fam. I'll put Ty Jerome at the 5 before I put Wiseman out there. He's still little bone Jerome, baby. Hey, Zaza could give us 5 minutes. Zaza with the death screens. Okay, Arch asked me, would you have traded Kuminga for OG? No. That's a really good point there. That's a really good point there. And I put out on Twitter, I was like, when the rumor was Bay Wiseman, right? And we didn't know what it quite was. And I'm like, all right, well, Bay's not enough, right? Bay is not enough. I apologize if I'm not getting to these. Okay. Super chat from Khalid. You already know Masai wanted Kuminga. I think Kuminga would be better. Okay, so it's the same subject. I apologize. I'm on this yard stream, so the YouTube, the chat isn't as smooth as I would like, but I appreciate the donation. But we're talking about it anyway. You're right. Kuminga, if we got OG, Pascal, John Collins, any of these tier guys that were, what do you want to call them? Tier 2 or tier 3 guys, right? Let's call them tier 3, because to me, tier 2 guys are like the Paul Georges of the world and the Jaylen Browns, right? So these tier 3 guys that are like real difference makers and known big names, it was always going to cost Kuminga. It was always going to cost Kuminga. It sounds like they couldn't have moved Moody for some hot Cheetos, right? That's where, yes, I think moving forward, I like Kuminga better than OG. But that's why I put that Detroit trade of Wiseman, Moody, and Kuminga for Sadiq and Bogdanovich. And I wasn't saying, hey, let's do this, but I was suggesting if they're going to make a splashy move, it's going to cost Kuminga. That's what it's going to be, because we get too caught up in the eye of the beholder thing. Why would they just want Moody and Wiseman? They're just going to give up, like, you know what I'm saying? And we don't have the first round pick capital. So Kuminga was going to be like in place of a first round pick for any of those moves. I don't think I would have done either one of them, because I don't think it would have put us over the top. But the reason I suggested was, would it have been kind of a panic move when you look at the rest of the Western Conference? Because I honestly, when I heard the KD news last night, I was like, yo, we're probably just going to sit on our hands now, right? Like, are we going to just, but then, the competitiveness of this organization. And then when I woke back up, I was like, yo, are we going to do something drastic now to keep up with the West? And instead, the one thing about this move is we already know what time it is. That's the beauty in it, right? We already know how it fits. Man, it would have been dope to have a camera on GP and his pops when they got the news. Just seen dude last night. Man, he's such a good dude. It's a dope situation. And we got to kind of wait out and see if that abdominal surgery worked out for him too, because that would have been I was told that Otto and GP2, part of not bringing them back was questions on their durability. too many guards. Okay, here we go. Basketball Breakdown says Wiseman has a bigger ceiling than Mobley. No, son. No, sir. No, sir. Listen, Mobley is kind of soft too, right? And Mobley's never, he's not a scorer. Mobley is not a scorer. And I think that that's going to even be hindered more when you look at Donovan and Garland in that backcourt. As good as Donovan Mitchell has been for Cleveland, look at what it's done to the Twin Towers numbers. Allen and Mobley are both having lesser years, because now they're turned into role players. Donovan, so they're not going to nurture Mobley as an offensive player, but that's all right. He's not, he doesn't have that mentality anyway. But where the difference is, I just got done talking about feel in young players. Mobley has more feel for the game in his pinky than Wiseman has in his entire body. And that gap will never be closed. That gap will never be closed. Now, durability issues or something, but no, that's outrageous. Let's just keep Ty. Yeah, Lamb. I mean, listen, I know it sounds, again, accusing me of hate. I'm sure people will say, why are you hating on Andre? And I get, that's what the tough thing is about this situation. And that's probably where Bob, it could be money. There's probably a lot of things. But if Bob Myers signs on here for extends, he's going to have to be the dude to make a lot of these tough sit downs. And Andre might be the first one. It's like, hey, but to me, listen, I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of why Andre agreed to come back. And I know I'm not saying Steph and them weren't asking him back, because I have no doubt they were. But I think part of the equation of his decision was like, hey, let me get this podcast off, right? We know how ambitious he is as a businessman. And for him to be on the Warriors drives way more ears to that podcast than if he wasn't. Or even if he was a coach, right? He's still a player. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot of these dudes doing. Every player has a podcast now. And these older guys, they're going to start trying to parlay and maybe hold on for a year or two so they have more access to the team to build up their podcast. That's my thought on it. How long we been going here? Okay, so they wanted Kuminga, Moody, and picks for OG. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much. Like, what are we doing here? Oh, like, Kuminga could be better than OG by this time next year. Can't we agree to that? Like, I'm not saying he will. He could, right? Because I would say that I'd say Kuminga's a more natural player than OG, is what I would say. They're the same archetype. Kuminga, if OG's a B+ athlete, Kuminga's an A athlete, but I just think he has a little more natural feel out there. OG's kind of robotic a little bit. Thibault, did more shit break? I thought the Thibault deal was why they traded GP2, right? Because you went. I would have loved to got our hands on Cam Reddish for why did they trade Josh Hart? You notice Josh Hart is one of those guys that everybody seems to like him, but then why do they keep trading him? You know what I mean? Like, but I would have loved to take on a waiver on Cam Reddish, but again, the roster spot situations. I'm looking here on Twitter. It's coming up MMA. This pound for pound fight this weekend. The Arizona is about to be lit out here, man, because it's the Super Bowl, the UFC. KD finna be out here. I'm about to hit the casinos with my cousin Saturday night, man. I think I'm gonna put a bill on Volk. I know I'm getting off subject here with the UFC, but I like that money. I think that's smart money. What else is coming along this way? So no other big deals as of now. Oh my God. Hold on. The super chats. Khalil, why not pick up Howard? Seems like all we need is an extra big body. Dude, I've been asking about Dwight Howard since the summer. Remember? And then he did an interview. Was he on All the Smoke? Or he was on Shannon Sharp's pod, and he directly brought up the Warriors, and he even talked about mentoring Wiseman. But from what I heard was, I think this is from the Athletic Boys, TK. I think all of them have said it over the time, but the Warriors front office does not like Dwight Howard. And I don't mean like on a personal level. I mean like they're just not fans of like how he operates, I guess, or they've had interactions that they didn't. It's just not a guy they considered for their culture. So I think it's a culture issue, even though I think Dwight has changed. Yeah, the defense should be better. The defense should be better at the point of attack. And last night, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the rebounding issue, right? Because those of you that hoop, Saturday mornings, pick up whatever park, your rec leagues, we've all felt that before, where you have a really good defensive possession. Everyone's scrambling. You switch, you scramble, you close out, you run, and everybody's in a scramble, but then they get the offensive rebound because you've scrambled so much. And I think we've seen a lot of that. Like we saw that last night in Portland, where we didn't necessarily get outplayed. I thought the defense was all right, but there was so much scrambling that it really cost us on the glass. And yeah, I mean, the defense, GP2, I looked at his numbers. He's still shooting like 40 from three, like 1 or 2 a game. So that was, he's got to stay healthy here, man. The Silk said the Wiseman trade hits harder when you see how good LaMelo is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how good LaMelo is, to be honest with you. He has, I'm not saying he ain't better than Wiseman, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure LaMelo could very well go like down the D'Lo route, in my opinion. A lot of the time, my favorite author I bring up often, Malcolm Gladwell, right? And I use the term blink, that book Blink, right? These snap judgments of things. And in today's analytics in sports, everybody wants to take huge sample sizes. The truth is, a lot of the time, our blink is right. And you remember that was initially what we thought about LaMelo when he was in Australia. And it was like, dude, he's there's a clowniness to him. There's a nonchalance to him. And even at Chino Hills, he's shooting half, you know what I mean? That was how his environment as a player was developed. And I think he shocked people with how talented he is and how effective he can be. But I think ultimately he could be more of a D'Angelo Russell type talent, where teams will be willing to take him on and see if this, but I don't know if he has it between the years, just that winning mentality, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, man, what if it's all hindsight? You talk about Ant Edwards sliding to us, I mean, that was, you wonder, here's the thing. You wonder how much Minnesota loved Ant, or because they had Towns, they didn't consider Wiseman. Like because again, I'm not blaming the Warriors front office for the pick. I'm blaming the Warriors front office for holding on to Wise too long. You have to, these things, these things sooner than you think. You really do. But my point is, if Minnesota never had Towns, could they have been the one that took in Wiseman 1 and we had Ant 2? Whew. But then we'd have never had that chip last year. Butterfly effect, right? So it is what it is. Iggy can be an assistant coach. All right, y'all. How long have we been on here? About 40? I had fun. I'm going to try to hop on here and do these maybe pre-game, some of the ABC Prime ones. Did I miss this one, or is this the same one? Any other questions here? Dang, man, I'm way behind on this. Yeah, this thing got to be faster for me. I'll get better at these live streams, y'all. What are we saying? Some of y'all clearly don't watch Wiseman. Is that in defense of him? I haven't. I got to go back and read this. Some of y'all are saying I'm crazy. Wiseman's gonna. I've had people tell me, "Hey, Wiseman's a guaranteed 20 and 10 player." I just don't know how you see that. I don't know how you see that, dude. And there's just so many little things that are in the way of that, especially when you look at the way the game's played. I think the max way to get out of Wiseman, if he can really become like just better than I would have expected, would be is if a team green lights him from 3 and he becomes prolific from 3, right? Because his feel in the paint, yes, he can, he has touch in the paint, but he has no footwork and no feel, no angles, no hands, right? But if Detroit's like, hey, we're gonna, if Detroit lets Beef Stew shoot them corner threes, they got to let Wiseman shoot them corner threes, and that would be his value. Is if offensively you can play 5 out with him. If you can play 5 out and let Cade and Jaden Ivey, that would help Jaden Ivey as well. So there's that. But yeah, 20 and 10, fam. Come on now. 20, 20. Was he getting 20 and 10 in the G League? Come on, man. Come on. Any other news? I think I'm gonna wrap this one up here, y'all. I will I appreciate y'all. Tax refund just hit the bank. Nice, man. Nice. I remember what that was like, man. Now being a creator, got to pay them taxes, dog. But you know, it's all good. It's all good. Yo, Al, what up, Paul? Reasonable big pickup. Man, this thing is jumping over. How about Mobamba? But did someone buy him out? Didn't the Lakers just get Mobamba? Right? Didn't the Lakers just get Mobamba? So yeah, again, I'm gonna tomorrow. I'll have a video and where I'll be more organized and I'll give you draft grades. What I didn't understand was this Bones Highland for Thomas Bryant. What does Denver want with Thomas Bryant? He's an offensive big man, and I guess he's a bigger version of Bones Highland. Okay, now y'all hitting me with the questions before I'm out of here, right? Let me see. Are the Golden State Warriors tanking? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think you can, right? That's the problem is you can't with you can't not with Steph. Like they're not going to be bad enough to do it. And then you just the optics of it. And I also think it's just not in the DNA of this culture. When you from Steph to Draymond to Steve to Bob to Joe. I don't think it's in him. I thought about it last night when that KD move happened, but I don't think it's in him, man. I really don't. But yeah, so Paul, the Mobamba thing, I don't know who's on the come up with the bigs. So yeah, that's it for now. Tomorrow draft grades, and I will have perhaps some names on the buyout market, but people have to present it. So we're waiting on Shams and Woj to tell us possible buyout names. But hey, GP2 back home. Right. So I think that in a vacuum, the Warriors got better. The problem is the entire Western Conference did. Right. All right, y'all. I appreciate you. Back tomorrow with draft grades. I'm out, y'all.